1/8 of a teaspoon of MO36R aromatic mesophilic or Floridanica or any equivalent, 4 drop Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day curd nerds. Welcome back. I'm Gavin Weber, host of the show, and this is episode, well, what are we? This is Ask the Cheeseman, episode 357. No, 359. I don't even know what day it is. Goodness me. Welcome one and all. It's lovely to see you on the stream. So many people, 34 people. That's excellent. Welcome, everybody. Of course, the show wouldn't go on without your financial support. Big shout out to Brandon Mize, Derek, Charlo, Carol, Preston, Gillian Power, and everybody else on the screen who have signed up for YouTube memberships. And of course, new patron this week, Amy Franken. Thank you, Amy, and everybody else on the screen supporting me over on Patreon. Without your support, the show wouldn't go on, so thank you so much for keeping the lights on and coming back week after week watching the show. Really is good. Now, big news. Kim turned 60 this week. She's not retired, but yeah, she turned 60, had a great birthday. We went away to a lovely little place in Dalesford, even though it was, just as overcast and rainy as it was here. But yeah, it was her birthday, so she loved it. Wasn't too fussed on turning 60 though, but I think she's come to grips with the reality of it all. Yeah, cool. Alrighty, let's say g'day to a few people. First person I think on the chat that I saw this morning was Patricia. G'day Patricia. And Shauna in Tassie. G'day Shauna. Jeffrey, g'day mate. Lovely to see you. Valerie and Merv is in Adelaide instead of Melbourne this week. Bit of a jet setter. Who else we got there? We got VT. G'day VT. I'll get to your question soon. Amy. G'day Amy in Tennessee. Bartos, I think that's how you say it. G'day, mate. How are you? Who else we got there? Paul. G'day, Paul. Lovely to see you, mate. That's Paul Jerish. We got a memmate and Brendan Heffernan. G'day, Brendan. Lovely to see you, mate. Kathy. We got Tracy. And we got, goodness me, the curd nerd lights going off straight away. Thanks to Tracy at Cheese Needs. Happy 60th birthday. What's that? $15 Canadian, $14 Canadian. Thank you so much. I'll pass that on to her. She'll have to get a little bit of my proceeds this month. She gets it anyway. Who else I need to say to? Just One Asbestos. G'day, mate. Where are we? Michelle. Hello, Michelle. Jose in England, g'day mate, and that's about it. I don't think that's all the 37 people, but pop into the chat and say g'day if you're there. Alrighty, now we do have some. That was all the excitement for the week. I won't show the Trello board because there hasn't been much progress. Alright, I will show it. Let's have a look. Trello, where are you? There we are. I've been away all week, so I haven't done any video editing or filming or anything like that. So the only things I've put on the list to do are Gouda and Edam, to redo those. And yeah, so we'll get a video out this week. I'm not sure which one. Hopefully it'll be the gardening one, but that may be on the other channel, on the Gavin and Kim channel. But I'll put a little announcement, a little quick one on this channel just to see if anybody's interested, and then we'll move on to we're going to be talking about pH and why it's essential for cheese making, and if we're going to get deeper into it instead of just the beginner stuff that I normally pitch on the channel. Anyway, so we'll move right along. What else? So yeah, that's it. So we'll get on to the questions. All right, what's that? Fatal Pastry says, "G'day Gavin, hello from Ontario. New sub here who just made his first cheese. Happy to catch a show. It's lovely to have you on here. We will get some questions going so we can get some learning going. First question of the day was from Valerie. Says, if the pH of my brine is too low, can I add baking soda to bring the pH back up? You could, but I wouldn't advise it. Too low. The pH of the brine, as long as it's more acidic than what your cheese is, it doesn't really matter that much. So I wouldn't worry about it. Don't add anything extra to it. If you've gone over the top with a bit of vinegar, then the cheese is just going to be a little bit firmer on the outside. It'll still absorb the salt like it's supposed to, but don't go adding baking soda or baking powder, or sodium bicarbonate is the real name. So no, don't go adding that. But great question, thank you. Next question is from VT. Do cheeses acidify even after salting? What pH level should you pull a cheese and put it in a brine, or is that not the way to look at things? Thank you. Good question. Do cheeses acidify after salting? Yes, they do. It's very, very slowly. The warmer the cheese is, the quicker the acid builds. That's because whether it's mesophilic or thermophilic, they both like a little bit of heat and warmth. The warmer the cheese is, the quicker the lactic bacteria break down the lactose and convert it into lactic acid, and then start breaking. As they break down the proteins and the fats in the cheese as well, and give us those lovely umami flavors that we all love that's in the cheese. There's no specific pH level when you pull a cheese, when you take a cheese out of the mold and then put it into the brine. What you're trying to do when you're pressing the cheese is to form a rind around the cheese to protect the insides of the cheese. So you're trying to close the rind up, basically. So it's, fairly smooth, and it's easier to clean as you're doing the affinage part, or the maturing of the cheese. So that's not really the way to look at it. Trying to close up that, and then you can put it in the brine. The brine should be about the same acidity as what the cheese is. Difficult to tell, but normally around, it depends on the cheese, of course. The only reason we add a little bit of vinegar and a little bit of calcium chloride to the brine when we make it, the 18% brine solution, is to stop calcium ion exchange, which makes the outside of the cheese slimy, especially if you're making, say, a feta as well, or a domiati, where you store the cheese and pickle the cheese, basically. So I hope that answers your question in a roundabout way. Amy has a question and says, "Hi Gavin, it's Amy from Tennessee. For some reason I air dried my Asiago for 2 days without brining it. I'm getting ready to brine it now, or should I just dry salt it at this point?" No, put in the brine, definitely. It's definitely the way to go. The air drying for 2 days shouldn't have hardened the rind that much that it won't absorb salt. If you dry salt it, you're going to get the same result anyway. So definitely put the cheese into the brine. Only problem is, though, you've now got 2 days of acid development that the recipe didn't call for. So I wouldn't be surprised that if you get some bitterness maybe in the final cheese. So make sure that it's aged for quite a while. And I think the Asiago recipe that I put up, Asiago Papato, which had peppercorns in it, was only aged for like 6 weeks or something like that. I would age it out a lot longer because you're trying to get rid of those bitter peptides. But definitely make sure it goes into the brine. And look, I would even add an hour onto the brining time to make sure all the salt gets in there. So, hope that helps, Amy. Next question is from Jeffrey. So, can the French cream cheese be frozen, and what's the maths to work out 1% salt? Oh, sorry, the salt percentage. I've tried and get different results. Okay, so fairly easy. Now, I checked before the stream started, and the percentage of salt is 1%. So here's some easy maths. All right, so let's say we've got 800 grams. Can we focus on that? 800 grams. And we want to determine what 1%. Look, we could move the decimal point 2 places and get 8 grams, which is what the answer is. But what we're going to do is we're going to minus. Oh, there we go. I could always do this on screen, I suppose. We're going to minus 99%. So we're going to do the inverse. So 100 minus 1 is 99. And we're going to get an answer, get my head there, of 8 grams of salt. It's that easy, Jeffrey. So you do the inverse of the percentage that you're trying to get. And, you know, using a calculator, it's so simple. You just use the percentage mark. So that's the easiest way to do it. And yeah, so always try and aim for a percentage. Most of the recipes now that I've been putting up on the YouTubes is I put the percentage of weight of salt per weight of curd. Because, you know, different milks vary. You might get a different weight. You don't want to undersalt your cheese, because that can lead to all sorts of problems like bitterness in the final cheese, too much acid development as the cheese matures, or it can be too salty if you add too much salt. So, there we go. Thanks, Jeffrey. I hope that answers your question, mate. Alrighty. Somebody said they dropped their dropped something on the floor. I don't know, I can't find where it is, but somebody dropped something all over the floor. Next question is... no, it's more of a statement. It's Merv says, I brought my curd nerd over to Adelaide teaching my daughter how to make yogurt. 3 hours to see how it goes using an Instapot for the first time. Yeah, I've never used an Instapot to make yogurt, but yeah, I just use a thermos. I've got a special yogurt thermos. But I am gonna, one of my video ideas is that I'm gonna make it in the Formaggio, and I'm gonna make it in my thermos and see which one turns out the best. Obviously with the Formaggio, you have to make 3 litres of milk, so you'll get about 3 kilos of yogurt. So that's a lot of yogurt. Anyway, moving right along. Lots of happy birthdays to Kim. Thank you so much, everybody. Brendan has a joke. How does a cheesemaker keep another cheesemaker in suspense? Okay, that's funny because there's no answer. Next question. Moving right along. Oh, Jeffrey, sorry, I didn't get to all of your question. Where is it? Can I freeze the French cream cheese? No, I wouldn't. Because cream cheese... Look, there's 2 schools of thought. You know, you can, if you buy that crappy, what's it called? Philadelphia cream cheese. You can freeze that, but that's because it's got binding agents and a whole bunch of other stuff added to it. So it's a bit of a problem, because when you make, say, French cream cheese, you're only adding the essentials. You're adding milk, cream, rennet, salt, and starter culture. That's it. when you freeze it, you're going to find that the texture of the cheese changes a lot. So, yeah, I wouldn't freeze it. I'd just use it as quickly as you possibly can. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention was Paul gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Paul. Really appreciate it. And thanks to everybody who picked one up. And everybody should thank Paul, because you get early access to videos and behind-the-scenes stuff and all that sort of stuff. Kathy has a great solution if you want to bring the pH of the brine back up again, and that is just to add more water. So you're adding more water, remembering at the same time you're actually diluting the salt content, so you're going to have to add more salt as well. So a bit of a runaway thing going on there. Okay, we've got another super chat. This one's from Paul. Says, I'd rather make cheese than buy it, but I have bought a champagne cheddar twice now. Can I use the stout cheddar recipe and sub the stout out, or does it have, or does anything else change? Thanks and happy birthday to both of you. Thank you, Paul. Thanks for the $20 US. Really appreciate it. Right, so in answer to your question, yes, you could use the stout cheddar recipe and substitute out champagne. Champagne, very subtle, so I'm not sure what the flavour of the champagne cheddar that you've been buying is like. If it's really subtle, then it's going to be subtle. You're going to soak the, I think you soak the curds for about, 2 hours? I think that's what's in the stout cheddar recipe. From memory, if it's a bit longer, then that's fine, but it's got to be kept warm. You're going to make sure all the fizz will go anyway, same as what stout cheddar does. But yeah, so that's the best way to do it. But yeah, use the stout cheddar recipe. Next question is one that I've missed. No, a couple I have missed here. One from Fatal Pastry. I made your Bel Paese as my first cheese, and everybody loved it. But I did notice after the final wash and vac pack, the wedges got quite salty over time. Did I wash it too much? Did I wash it with too much brine? Yeah, your brine strength may have been a bit over the top, but look, you're only washing it once every couple of days, just to get rid of that tackiness, which is yeast growing on the outside of the Bel Paese. Yeah, it will get a little bit salty. That's the beauty of the Bel Paese. It's very creamy, a little bit salty. It's a really nice cheese. Look, you can ease off. You can just wash it with, put a teaspoon of salt into a cup of water and use that as your brine. Don't use the 18% brine solution. Just use a very simple brine. So, teaspoon of salt in a cup of water, which is 250 mils. Just give that a good stir and just use that as your brine, your washing solution. So, there you go. I hope that answers your question. Okay. There's another question there. Who was this from? Something about you making yogurt with... Here we go. There's a question. I missed it because it didn't have 3 Qs in front. Little Red Riding Hood. Hello, I live outside the US and find it hard to find pure cheese cultures at a good price with shipping included. Has anybody tried making cheese with alternatives like yogurt and buttermilk? Yes, indeed. You can use buttermilk, cultured buttermilk in substitute of a aromatic mesophilic culture, or a mesophilic at a pinch. It may get some gas development. You can use yogurt as a substitute for thermophilic starter culture, but remember it's going to be a lot sharper. Depends on the yogurt you're going to use. It's going to be a lot sharper because it'll have different cultures than the thermophiles that are normally in a cheese. So remember, it's going to have that little bit of a yogurty sort of tang. So yeah, you can add those to the milk before you start making the cheese instead of starter cultures, and get a fairly decent cheese out of it. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Right, another question from Fatal Pastry. Says, in some of your older videos you mentioned wrapping cheese in foil for additional ripening. Could I also vacuum pack the cheese? I plan to make another Bel Paese and let it go 5 weeks this time. Okay, so wrapping cheese in foil, I do that when I make blue cheese. No other types of cheeses can really be wrapped with during maturation. But remember, I've also got it in a ripening box to keep up the humidity. Could you vacuum pack the cheese? Depends on what cheese you're talking about. Bel Paese, yes, you can vacuum pack it after it's mature. I wouldn't let it go too much longer than that. Certainly wouldn't mature it. Well, sorry, Bel Paese matures in the fridge anyway, so you're not going to get too much more acid development. That's why it's a nice, smooth and creamy cheese. Once you've vacuum packed it and stored it in the fridge, any development will be really, really slow. Any acid development. So yeah, look, you can let it go for 5 weeks, no problems at all. So there we go. Suzanne, g'day Suzanne. Can you make a Saint? How do you say that? Agur? I don't even know how to say it. A blue cheese made in France. I cry for not. I don't have a recipe for it per se, but I'll write it down because you never know. I would have to acquire a piece of it first to see what it tastes like. But I'll put it on my list. How's that sound? Thanks, Suzanne, for the suggestion. Bartos says, I have a question regarding cheese sealing for storage. Is there any difference in wax coating and vacuum sealing? No, not really. Look, some cheese makers say that vacuum sealing doesn't allow the cheese to mature, as it should. Look, for the home cheesemaker, vacuum packing is, as good as it's going to get. Wax coating and vacuum sealing, same thing. You're excluding the air from the cheese, stopping mold from getting on it. There's no real difference. But a lot of cheesemakers will naturally age their cheeses so they're covered in funky molds and they wash them off at the end. Vacuum sealing prevents the cheese from releasing more moisture during the maturation process and getting access to oxygen. So probably not so important when you're a home cheesemaker, but that's what they say. Anyway, Emmett, hello Emmett, long time no see. Couple of months into cheese making, and the biggest question I have at the moment is, where do you get the nice curve shape with smooth top and bottom? Don't quite understand. Are you talking about a cheese mold or cheese basket? Let me know down below. Fatal Pastry says, do you have a mold with a follower? I think it helps keep it nice and smooth. Yes. I don't know if you're talking to Emmett, but yes, baskets with followers do tend to make the cheese a lot nicer. Where else? Dominic, g'day mate, lovely to see you. Says bicarb will raise the brine pH. Yes, I thought it would, but didn't want to add anything else extra into the cheese. Emmett says, I use the Pet Restore mold and followers presently. They make a flat top with a rim that needs cutting off, designed and printed a curve follower to stimulate what I see. Okay, yeah, so make sure that when you do any 3D printed stuff that it's food grade plastic, the filament that you use. You can buy it. I don't know how expensive it is, but just be careful when using 3D printed plastics. Paul says the champagne cheddar is subtle but nice. Okay, yeah, that'll be really good. Fiona joined late, and so did Cool Cat, but lovely to see both of you. All right. Next. Oh, okay. Tracy says Saint Agur uses Penicillium glaucum. It's one of my faves. Yeah, I don't have Penicillium glaucum. It's a Penicillium glaucum is a subspecies of Penicillium roqueforti. So it's a blue-green mold that's typically used in gorgonzola as well. But you can make gorgonzola with Penicillium roqueforti, no problems at all. So there you go. Paul says, I had pink mold on the orange walnut cheese, but cut it off. The entire outside and inner cheese was perfect. It was a bit more tangy than I expected, but I'd never had kefili. How's the normal taste? Yes. Yeah, it has a little bit of a tang. And that could have also been from the citrus as well. What else? Let me think. Kefili usually is fairly salty. It's creamy. It's got a little bit of a bite to it. It's not overly tangy. But yeah, as a 3-week cheese, you wouldn't expect too much acid development. But yeah, it could have been from the orange and the orange liqueur. But if it wasn't overly, off-putting, then yeah, maybe a little bit more salt. Salt always reduces the acid development in cheese, which could be from tanginess as well. So yeah, not sure what you did, but yeah, that's suggestions anyway, Paul. Dominic says, I've been experimenting with freshly made kefir as a culture, not the grains. I think I've worked that out. I'll send you an email when I'm confident and certain of the technique. Yeah, that'd be good. Thanks, Dominic. Appreciate it. Amy says, can you add La Retorta from Spain on your list? I will. I've never heard of it, but I will have a look. All these great suggestions. There's so many more cheeses to make. I'll never run out of ideas, that's for sure. But thank you, Amy. Jose says, my Saturday night routine is watching or listening to your stream and making cheese. Today I'm trying blue cheese, which I've constantly failed to make. I hope better luck this time, Jose. So, yeah, that'd be good. Little Red Riding Hood says, I found a Swiss cheese recipe. You may be referring to the cheese developing bubbles inside to form a dome top and bottom. I'm not sure that's what they were talking about. Alrighty, let's have... there's another question. There we go, from VT. I am currently pressing a pepper jack. Could I rub it in olive oil and cure it that way, or would vac packing be a better idea? Thank you. Yes, you could rub it in olive oil and cure it naturally. The olive oil helps prevent a little bit of mold development. It also firms up the rind of the cheese. So, yeah, that'll help develop a firmer rind on the cheese and make it a little bit harder as it matures. But make sure you keep the humidity up. You don't want the cheese cracking. Olive oil won't stop the cheese from cracking. So, yeah, that's definitely what you need to do. Look, you could vacuum pack it, but, the cheese needs to be a little bit dry. Pepper jack tends to be fairly soft cheese, semi-hard cheese. What are they? Yeah, semi-hard. And you might find that the vacuum packing pressure may squeeze it a little bit. But yeah, olive oil, definitely. Go for it. You can put it in a ripening box and do it that way. Just keep an eye on it. It may develop molds. Bartos says, if you add aromatics, i.e. peppercorns, chili flakes, herbs, cheese, do you have a method for sterilisation of those ingredients, like roasting the peppercorns? Yes. For all those things, there are various ways to sanitize. A good book, and I don't have it here with me because it's in my other study where I'm taking some notes, and that's Confident Cheese Making by Lisa Peterson, and in there is a big table of how to sanitize any aromatics or additives to your cheese. So go and check that out. I do have a link to it, I think, in my Amazon shop, which is down in the description down below. So go and have a look. And yeah, if you buy it via that link, then I get a small commission. So yeah, it's called Confident Cheese Making by Lisa Peterson. So good book, really good book. Dominic says, I just got the Art of Natural Cheese Making by David Asher. It's wonderful, especially for those who want to know why as well as how. Yeah, so just a note on that book. He has come out afterwards and said that some of the things that he's put in there are not quite right, especially when it comes to making blue molds on rye bread and that sort of stuff, because the blue molds that you cultivate wild might not be the right strain of Penicillium roqueforti, and it could be harmful. So there's lots of things to not worry about, but there are some good things in that book, Dominic, but there's also some things that I was wary of when I was reading it as well. If you want consistency, then use direct vat inoculated starter cultures and not the weird and wonderful things that he was using. But I have tried some of his techniques. Some were good, some were bad. So yeah, just read it for information, and it'll store in your knowledge for cheese making. Fatal Pastry says, thanks for the answers, Gav. Regarding the saltiness, I did use 18% brine to wash it, just kept it in the fridge. Next time I'll mix up that simple brine to wash it with. Indeed. So yeah, you can get too salty if using that. Brendan says, do you know what the issue is with the lack of supply of blue cheese wrap paper? I've been looking for it and it seems to be unavailable everywhere. Yeah, Brendan, the silver wrap, Mad Millie have stopped selling it. I cannot find it. My alarm didn't go off for the gallery. Oh, it is 8:30. Yeah, okay, I'll finish Brendan's question, Tracy, and I'll get to it. Thanks, mate. Yeah, so I haven't been able to find it, Brendan. Can't find it from any wholesaler that I buy from. Even Cheese Links down in Lara, I can't buy it from them either. So yeah, it's a bit of a worry because it's a little bit different than the white stuff. It doesn't absorb, well, it absorbs as much moisture, but it allows the cheese to breathe differently. But yeah, a little bit different. Look, you may have to resort to the good old foil. But yeah, I'll let you make that decision. The gallery, yes, we only have a couple of submissions, so thanks, Tracy, for the reminder. There we go, there's a reminder. And thanks for being a fresh member for 30 months. That's a long time. Where is the gallery? Let's find it first. One submission to the gallery this week. Where is it? There we go. So today's submission is from David in the UK. The very same guy who sent me the Wallace and Gromit photo with his cheese, the Wensleydale, sitting on his knee. So David says this. He says, hi, g'day Gavin, hope all is well with you and yours. Here's a picture of my latest cheeses. The first one is Gorgonzola Dolce, which is this one here. That's just about to go in the box for ripening, so it hasn't got any mold development, but yeah, nice loose texture, so hopefully you'll have some air and some nice veining with that one. So good looking cheese. The next cheese, the second, is a wild garlic derby, using your sage derby recipe, but with wild garlic, which grows like a weed in my garden and is delicious. It's also a great addition to ricotta. So it looks like he sanitized the wild garlic there in the oven, so there's no concerns really. Looks like it's fully mature because he's vacuum packed. You can see the little telltale signs around the outside, the little line there. That's from the vacuum packing. But yeah, it looks like a really good cheese. I wouldn't mature it too long. It doesn't look like he has, because any sort of garlic can, if it is excluded from oxygen, can produce botulism. But yeah, as long as it's not matured too long, then yeah, you should be good to go. Next one, this one. Oh, this is a remarkable colour cheese. The third is a Guido's cheese made with homemade pesto mixed through. Interesting. Very nice indeed. Good looking cheese. I'd be fascinated to hear how it tasted, David. So that is a good looking cheese. Anyway, I'll have a look at that as well. And the final picture for this week's gallery is a Guido's also, but made in a weave effect mould. Yep, I can see that. And it's been smoked. Very lightly by the looks of it. But yeah, nice looking cheese. Smoking a Guido will be really nice. So yeah, very cool. That's it for the gallery. And the last bit, David says, best as ever. David. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry about that. My brain wasn't working there. Thanks for sending in those gallery photos, David. Not much of a gallery, but beautiful looking cheeses. Now, where do you send the photos? To me. I would love some more next week for a longer gallery session. So, how do we do it? Let me think. Right. So we go to the channel page. That's me, Gavin Webber. And we click on this bit here. Do you want to become a Curd Nerd? Click on more, and it brings up this little description and links and more info. See here where it says view email address? That's the place that you click, and you'll get my business email address, and you can send me photos of your cheeses. I would love to see more photos of cheese for next week's gallery. But thank you so much to David for sending in your cheese photos. I particularly like the pesto one, the green cheese. Very, very cool looking cheese. So send them in. Send them in. Not much going on this week. Okay. Jose has amplified on Amy's request around La Retorta. He says, La Retorta is a commercial name. It's a sheep's variety made in the Spanish region called Extremadura, called Toro del Queso. You'll need to find the recipe. Right, okay, so it's not La Retorta. It's Torta del Queso. Okay, thanks for that, Jose, for clarifying that. Brendan says foil has its own issues. The acids can dissolve it. Yes, if you long age a blue cheese in the in aluminium foil, it actually can dissolve it. That's why you have to check these things every week when you turn them. Memmake says Green Living Australia is where I recently purchased foil wraps. Okay, they're one of my suppliers, so I can hit them up. Silver foil. Silver wrap. GLA. I'll have a talk to David there at Green Living Australia and see what we can come up with. See if I can get some wholesale. Anyway, Jeffrey said you were going to talk about pH with main cheese. pH with main cheese making. Yes, I'm doing a video on it, Jeffrey, so I won't talk about it right now. But yeah, I'm gathering more information so I get all my facts right. Because, you know, I'm new to the pH bandwagon as well. I've just been making it as I know how to make it. So by measuring steps as we go along, then it's going to be a new thing for me. So yeah, we'll do that. So I'll get all my facts right before I go spruiking anything and start measuring with the little Hannah Instruments Halo 2 stuff. Silent Pause says, what is your favourite kind of cheese? Gee, I haven't had that question for a while. My favourite kind of cheese is all the cheeses. I love them all. The only cheeses I don't like are ones that pretend to be cheese, and that's processed cheese. I don't really eat many processed cheeses. They're unnatural. They don't really taste like they should. Dominic says, do you think it'll be okay to 3D print followers, seeing they don't actually come in contact with the cheese? They might I coat them with some kind of resin or spray coating. Like I said before, I'm pretty sure you can get filament that's food safe. So if you use food safe filament for 3D printing, they should be okay. Problem is with 3D, some of the earlier 3D printers, is that they leave a really rough surface, so you would have to sand that back, and therefore you're creating scratches in the plastic itself, which is not the same as moulding plastic, because bad bacteria and yeast and stuff can lurk in there if you don't clean and sanitize it properly. I wouldn't spray them with any sort of resin or coating because they're not food safe easy. Tracy's got a recommendation, said, would strongly suggest you don't use 3D printed molds. They shred microplastic, have holes that can hold contaminant, yeah, as I was saying. They're also not solid and can be brittle. But like I said, if you're going to do that, it's up to you. It's your choice. Use a food safe filament, because not all plastics are made equal, of course. Paul has a question. Says, pH is important for cheese, and you are doing videos for it. Can you consider about washed rind cheese? On a new Gruyere has info about it, but having more tips for success will be helpful. Yeah, so certainly can. So I'm going to be covering the pH ranges of most popular sorts of cheeses. That's definitely going to be in the video, from what I can said. So yeah, so that's from the research that I've done so far. I'm going to have a range of pHs for different types of cheeses, so we can have a better estimate of what's going on, when to test, why to test, what different levels of acidity will cause your cheeses to become. So whether they'll be melty cheeses or they'll be crumbly acidic cheeses, you can all tell that by measuring the pH. So yeah, so that's what's going to happen. But thanks, Paul. Yeah. Bartos says most 3D filaments are not food grade. Some resin ones are mostly used for molds they cast teeth in. Okay, thanks for that information. I don't know anything about 3D printing, except they exist and they do stuff. Anyway, Jeffrey says, making pizza mozzarella today, wish me luck. You don't need luck, Jeffrey. You'll be fine. Don't you worry about that. Yeah, fairly simple recipe. I think if you hit the target, the pH target, you won't have any problems at all. Make sure those curds are pretty small, because you want to get rid of a fair bit of moisture out of it. And you know, I've still got a little piece of it sitting in the fridge. No mold's grown on it whatsoever. Still tastes fantastic. And this is, you know, when the video was released, what, 2-3 weeks ago? And it melts delightfully. We've had it in toasted sandwiches as well, in the sandwich press, and you know, you get that stretch. It's, you know, you cut the sandwich in half and do that YouTube thing when they stretch the cheese. Anyway, it's fine. It's delicious. So you won't have too many troubles, I don't think, Jeffrey. Fatal Pastry said, I just want to clarify my earlier question. In your Bel Paese video, you say that after the first 3 weeks you can either eat it or wrap it in foil and age it further. Can you vacuum pack it, or does it have to be foil? No, it doesn't have to be foil at all. Traditionally, it comes in a silver wrap, like Brendan was talking about in the chat as well, that you use to wrap blue cheeses. That's how I have seen it wrapped. You can use foil. I wouldn't leave it too long in that, but vacuum packing's fine. Just cut it into wedges, vacuum pack it. It is a fairly soft cheese, so you may find when you vacuum pack it does flatten and lose its shape a little bit. Is the only thing I would say with that. But yeah, wrapping in foil, if you wrap it in foil, then it's going to dry out certainly a lot quicker than what wrapping it, vacuum packing it does, if that makes sense. But it should. It's such a nice cheese that it probably won't last that long anyway, if you know what I mean. Anyway, what's the time? We've got 15 minutes to kill, Curd Nerds, on this stream. So if you've got any more, questions, then pop them into the chat. Have I missed any? Have I missed any? Let's have a look. I don't think I have. I think Fiona has a good suggestion there. Don't know how a bicarb, if you put it into... Yeah, we're talking about changing the pH of the of brine if you go too high. Yeah, the bicarb may dissolve some of the fats in the cheese. So that is a good point. So, yeah. Anyway, there's another question. Right, so around the tang in the kefili, I think the tang could be the citrus, but it seemed almost slightly sharp. Didn't taste as expected. It wasn't bad, just a surprise. Yeah, okay. Alrighty, yeah, so so I don't know, maybe the salting went awry there, Paul. I'm not sure. I salted it the same as what I did with normal kefili, dry salting every time you flipped it over in the press and at the end. So it's certainly got enough salt in it to stop any rapid acid development. If it was quite warm when you made the cheese, and when you air dried it, that could have been an issue. Maybe air dry it next time in the cheese cave. If you're getting some warmer temperatures there now that summer is nearly upon you in the US there. Because, you know, like I said at the start of the stream, heat, cheese that's sitting in a warm place for a while will continue to develop acid even when it's been salted. Brendan says GLA does have silver wrap. There you go. So you can get it from there, Brendan. I do know David. He's a nice bloke. Or I'll see if I can hit him up and get some wholesale so I can sell it too. That would be nice. But yeah, there you go. What else do I have? Oh, Jose, you've come to the rescue. I found a recipe for torta del casa. I haven't watched it, but it's in Spanish. It's unique, soft, spreadable inside, but the rind is hard. I recommend everybody to try it. Yeah, so that would be good. Hey, Jose, if you could send me the link to the video. You can't do it on the chat because there's no links allowed. If you can send me an email with it in there, that'd be fantastic, mate, and I'll have a look at it. Or I could just probably find it myself. But, yeah, seeing I don't speak Spanish and you do, it'd be easier to find it. Bartos says, lipase, do you add it always to pasteurised milk or not? No. I only add it to certain cheeses. So cheeses like... and that's if I want a certain flavour in the cheese. I don't typically use lipase very much at all these days. So Parmesan and the cheese that can't be mentioned, the cheese and desist cheese, you can go find that. There's a joke there somewhere. And Romano style cheeses made with cow's milk. Pasteurisation, as you rightly said, it destroys lots of the lipase enzyme during pasteurisation. So we add it in when we're making some of those harder Italian cheeses. If you want the cheese to be as they say, piquant or spicy. I don't add it always. In fact, I rarely add it at all. But only those sorts of cheeses, and you only add such a tiny amount to the milk. Talking an eighth of a teaspoon for 10 litres. Any more than that, the cheese tastes like baby vomit, or smells like baby vomit anyway. Brendan, being cheeky, no, unless you've got an ABN and you want to sell it. I don't do wholesale, we're retailers. Just One Asbestos says, how often do you cook with your cheeses to make a sauce or some such versus just eating them on crackers? Probably about 50-50. So probably have a cheese plate once a fortnight with, just cheese and crackers, that sort of thing, of my own cheeses. But more often than not these days, because, I've got a fair bit of cheese, we will, if we're going to use it for cooking, like make a gratin, depends on what vegetable we use, or it needs a cheese topping like a lasagna or something like that. And I've also always got a little bit of hard Italian cheeses somewhere, so I'll always grate those on top of pasta and stuff like that. So yeah, probably about 50-50. Just one. Question: what are some ideas for cheeses that are made from multiple milks, i.e. cows, sheep, goat, blends of any variety? Okay, one of the most famous blended milk cheeses is feta. Feta has a sheep's milk content of 70% and a goat's milk content of 30%, so that makes 100%. So of all the cheeses, that's the most famous blended milk cheese. But there are lots of different types that have different types of, look at, for instance, Domiati, the Egyptian cheese that I made. There's buffalo milk and cow's milk as well. So that's a blend of milks. But yeah, they when you do blend the milks at different percentages, you get different flavours. So sheep's milk's really creamy, goat's milk's got a tang to it. So you're changing the flavour of the milk, so it's really good. Yeah, and Patricia's definitely come up, says there's a triple udder blue. Did Gav get around to making that one? I think I did, yes. There is a video. I think I called it, could have called it something else, but yeah, it's there somewhere. Paul says yesterday's uses lipase. Yes, it does, from Tracy's recipe. I think Tracy's changing the recipe soon. So I haven't seen anything on the Facebook page, the Learn to Make Cheese Facebook page, but I'm pretty sure she's making a long-term version of yesterday's. But yeah, you can add a little bit of lipase because it's a really quick cheese. I wouldn't mature that one for more than 3 weeks. Patricia says Fundy Fog has lipase. My goodness. Yeah, all right, all these cheeses are like, but only add it in the smallest of amounts. Smallest lipase, okay? Oh, goodness. Jose says, I will send you a link around the Torta del Casar. I'm sorry, but I get excited when you speak about Spanish cheeses here. I do like Spanish cheeses. But yeah, that'd be fantastic. Thanks, Jose. Appreciate it, mate. Maddie has a question. Not long to go now. Says, is it possible for anybody to do some Worcester cheese without having special rooms like maturing cave or special tools? You're talking about adding Worcester sauce to cheese? I'm not sure, Maddie. Let me know. But yeah, I'm not sure about the question. really, I need a little bit more info than that one. Alrighty. Paul says, I found some farmhouse blue in the cave. It's been vacuum packed. But it has been in almost a year. Is it still good? Look, the cheese will be good. Whether there's any blue left in the cheese, Paul, it may have broken down because of the lack of oxygen. Farmhouse blue, which is like a cheddar, stirred curd cheddar style, should be good. So don't be scared to taste that one. I think it'll probably be okay. But I wouldn't expect a lot of blue to be left, as in Penicillium roqueforti, and the blue veins may have degraded over time. Patricia says, in the Fundy Fog, there's a skewer's worth of lipase. So small. That's really good. Thank you, Patricia, for amplifying, or whatever that word is. My brain's not working after 55 minutes. It's been longer than that. Bartos says, is it possible to mature cheese in a salt cave? I suppose. I don't have any salt caves near me. As long as the humidity is around 80% and the humidity is 80% and the temperature is about 13 degrees Celsius, you can mature it anywhere. Maddie says, sorry, I'm French and a bit tired. I meant Shropshire. Yeah, it is pretty late there. Right, not Worcester, Shropshire cheese. Right, as long as you can keep, like, for a Shropshire Blue, you will need some special tool. You need to keep the temperature at 13 degrees Celsius, like I said. For blue cheeses, about 80% humidity. So that would be a little bit difficult to make Shropshire Blue without proper maturation place. So, sorry about that. Dominic says, putting the cheese back in Worcester. Nice, like that. It's Worcester. That's how you pronounce it. DCK, David, lovely to see you, mate. Evening all, just a quick hello from the UK. At the end of the show, we showed you pictures during the gallery, mate, so you can catch up on the replay. But thank you so much for sending those in to me. Really appreciate it. Okay, that's it. That's the end. That's the end. I'm near the end of the show. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget that if you want to buy cheese making supplies and you're in the market for some, we do sell them here at littlegreenworkshops.com.au, and we ship all over the world. So don't be surprised that I stock stuff that other people don't. I get from multiple manufacturers. I'm not manufacturer agnostic. I get them from everywhere. So I'll have all the cheese making supplies from all over the place, sometimes even multiples. Also, don't forget merch. Sporting the the Talk Curdy to me mug today. Let me get the head out the way, Gav. Over at merch.cheeseman.tv. Go and check out the merch store. Lots of good stuff there. And decent prices. And they ship from Australia, Europe, and North America. So there you go. All right. Thanks for watching, Curd Nerds. Send those photos in of those cheeses. Just take a snap with your iPhone and send it to me. And like I said, you get the email from the homepage, the description part of the channel. So there we go. Thanks, Curd Nerds, and I'll see you next time. Whoop.